Hey, what's up?
What's up? This is Everyone and Their Mom. Go follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok.
And you can also listen to our podcast at Google Podcasts, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and also Anchor. We'll be talking all things co-parenting, blended families, and relationships. Hey guys, have you heard of Anchor by Spotify? If you haven't, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Everything you need all in one place. Anchor has the tools to allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and more. It's everything you need all in one. And best of all, it's totally free. How great is that? Download your Anchor app and go to anchor.fm and get started. Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm mom.
I'm Jerilyn. I'm stepmom.
So today we're talking about not any particular topic, but we're going into how me and Jesse met and
Also how we met.
yeah. We're going to go in a lot more detail of that than we did in the first episode. But so it's actually kind of funny because, me and Jerilyn met at McDonald's, like we all met up together, but me and Jesse actually, we worked at McDonald's whenever we met. She was my manager, and
Who were you?
I was 17.
Okay,
yeah. And Jesse was 19. And I knew she was coming. Like, I literally, heard she was coming from a different store. My friend was like, oh, she's great. You're going to like her, da-da-da-da. And it's funny because I was, talking to this girl. I was, I knew it wasn't going to go anywhere, very long or whatever. Sorry, Alexis. But I know she listens to these, so that's why I'm saying that. But, and we're friends now or whatever. But I knew that wasn't really going to go anywhere and stuff like that. But so when I met Jessie, I was just like, oh, I like her, she's really cool or whatever, and she's a little quirky and nerdy or whatever, and that's cute. But and then so we kind of just we hit it off or whatever, and we were like, just having fun or whatever and being kids. But mom ended up finding out about us. It was, the gay thing was not open and out for me. I was, still living in her home. I was still in high school. It was my senior year. I met Jesse in the summer of my senior year, it was coming up. And so my mom did not know, but she knew that Jesse was my friend. And Jesse was able to take me somewhere or whatever. And she kind of had a little feeling about her or whatever, just because, if you look at Jesse, you can just tell she's
For sure.
gay. And yeah, for sure. There's nothing straight about her. I don't know. There is some straight things about her, but we ain't going to get into that. But as far as her appearance and stuff like that, you can just tell. And prior to Jesse, my mom has known about an ex-girlfriend of mine, and it kind of got a little crazy. Well, when she found out, I ended up getting in really bad trouble. There was a lot of verbal abuse and some physical, and we didn't even say this. So there's a huge trigger warning in this episode. I'm sorry, guys. But, if any abuse or anything like that, is a trigger to you, we just want to warn you guys that we will be talking about, stuff that has happened to us. In our lives, with abuse. But moving on. So there was a lot of that with my mom. And I, was stuck in the house. My mom took me out of school. I wasn't allowed to see or talk to Jesse or any of my friends. And one day my friend came to drop off some schoolwork to me, and she left a letter in my school stuff, and she told me, she was like, there's a thing in here from Jesse. And I said, okay. And I opened it up, and it just simply said, I don't really know exactly what it said, but the gist of it was, will you run away with me? And I was like, yes. And honestly,
a true lesbian.
Yeah, no, seriously. If you've heard of U-Hop lesbians, that was definitely us and Jerilyn and Jesse. um, but basically, yeah. So I said yes. That's all I responded to. I literally just said yes is what I wrote on it, and I gave it back to my friend Caroline, and she gave it to Jesse. And
was that kind of like just a quick?
Yeah, and
like a quick.
I don't think she expected me to say yeah either. I don't think she was trying to really run away. But I'm telling you, a trucker guy could have asked me to run away, and I would have ran away because, I mean, of how bad it was, like, at home for me. Like, I mean, my mom will tell you, the opposite, that she doesn't feel like it was that bad or whatever. But you can't tell somebody that it's not that bad for them. You don't know. And also, when you're the person saying and doing the actions or whatever, that's easy for you to say.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And it's not that way at all.
I think also once you have something in your head, it's kind of just like, whoop.
Yeah. And I was a child. I didn't know. Like, yeah. And also, I am a child, and you're treating me like you're not treating me so good or whatever. But that's a whole nother thing we could go into another day. But, and, I took it into my own hands or whatever, and was like, I'm done with this situation. I'm done feeling this way. Because, I mean, it wasn't just Jesse. It just got worse when I met her. You know what I mean? Like, there was other things going on before Jesse came that made it, just emphasized it. And so she kind of was like my little savior, in a sense, in my mind or whatever.
That's funny.
Yeah. But like,
same.
So yeah, for Jerilyn as well. But we ran away. We went to Florida. You could literally look us up still. We're on Google. But we ran away together, and we went to Florida. We were gone for 5 days. I would not recommend. Don't try this at home. If you're listening and you're a kid, don't do this.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, she's 19. So my mom, like, tried to get her for like kidnapping charges and stuff like that. But, and I mean, this is a sensitive topic for even like my mom, like her child ran away. You're scared. I could not imagine Spencer doing this. I would freak out. Like, I could not imagine her doing that. But I hope to God that I never, and I'm not in hope, I know for a fact, I'm never going to put my child in a situation that's going to make her feel like, she may say it because you're a teenager and you're mad, but neither one of my teenagers are going to feel like they can't come to me with big situations or feel lost because I'm here. Like, yeah. I will always be here. And if you're gay, you want to tell me, you tell me. I may cry because I know the world's going to be hard on you. And there's going to even be some of your own family members that are going to turn on you.
I also don't, speaking of this, I don't know. I just want to add this. Nowadays, I really don't think it should be a thing where my child, like, I'm having a kid myself.
Yeah.
Speaking of the girls also, but I really don't think it should be a situation where I have to sit down with you and you come out to me.
Yeah.
I don't think that should
I think it should just be a normal conversation.
It's normal. Like, if you come home with a guy, you're not going to sit down with me. Hey, Mom.
Yeah.
I'm coming home with a guy. I like this guy. Okay, cool, whatever. Mm-hmm. Should be the same with
I mean, people just assume that you're friends or something. Why don't you just be like, who is this? And it be like that. And that should be, that's how I hope Spencer and Quinn are able to talk to me.
Yeah, coming out is just,
I just feel like it's going to be so much easier for them because of how I am with communication. And my mom was not like that. Like, it was not an open conversation. It was kind of like, what we were talking about in the last episode about not hearing each other. It was a very one-sided, like, you do what I say. And that's what parents back in the day, like, that's what they think about. It's just, you do. I mean, even still, it still happens. You do what I say, and that is the end of the story.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, to an extent, you are the adult, you are the parent, you know what's right. And they're kind of, their kids are naive and they see it differently than we do or whatever. And shit's not fair. But, they're little adults. They're becoming adults, and you're teaching them, responsibility, and you're also teaching them how to communicate. And if they can't come to you about big situations like that, then you're teaching them, in the future that, I don't know really what I'm trying to say here, but You know, it's you're the role model. You're supposed to be, at least.
Yeah, I mean, for sure.
And you know, it's your responsibility to, you know, get these little babies out the door and healthy, not you know, broken.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know where I was really going with that. I just want to make it known out there that I really don't think being gay should be a coming out thing anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, it is getting more normal.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, but it's still like,
yeah, that generation is dying. Thank God. And I'm sorry to the people that, you know, think the opposite or whatever, but I just, you know, I've been really hurt by that scenario or whatever. Like my mother that birthed me, my, you know, other family members that have known me my entire life, friends that have known me my entire life, have shit on me and been extremely ugly to me. And I never expected those things to come out their mouth or for me to be treated that way, because I don't give that out. I do not. There's nothing about me that gives that out to you. I was a little shithead growing up. I'm not saying that I wasn't disrespectful and I had a mouth on me, but I didn't deserve a lot of the things that were said and done to me. Just over, you know, overall, but like really in that category with being gay and me finding out who I was and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like if it wasn't so, I'm going to get into that because we are talking about me and Jesse. You know, that we are obviously divorced and there's a reason for that. And I will talk about that more in a minute. But the whole thing is like, I feel like if my mother, you know, my rebellion was a lot of, you know, her being against it. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to show you. I'm going to do my own thing and you're going to see. I'm like, it's literally the definition of a teenager. If you tell a child not to do something, you're going to push them into doing it longer. Yep. And I know that sounds like ass backwards, but that's how children learn.
That's how it is.
And when you're sitting there just being negative about a situation that they're feeling, they're going to do it even more. Mm-hmm. Probably worse. You're pushing them into that situation. And I almost felt like I had to run away. I felt like I was never going to get out of that situation. And even though it was, I mean, I was like 6 months away from being 18. And in my mind, I'm like, I'll just run away and I'll pop back up when I'm 18 years old. Yep. Can't do nothing then.
Speaking of that, isn't 17 the
legal age of adult?
In Georgia?
It is. But, and even a cop told me, if you would have ran away to your dad's house or if you would have ran away to a friend's house, we wouldn't have been able to do anything because you are 17. But you ran away out of state.
So it was so big. Okay, gotcha. So you went out of state.
You're taking a minor across state borders. It's illegal. And which is what she got or whatever for that or whatever. But it's, you know, and it's just the 17 age is like iffy. You could be tried as an adult at 17 for certain things, but you could also be treated as a child for certain things. It's real. The line needs to be more defined. The justice system is really messed up. You guys need to work on that. But other than the runaway thing, so that happened. We got caught. We went through hell and back. I put my mom through hell and back. I put my family through hell and back. And it was a really hard time. I was, you know, bouncing around. You know, the day I turned 18, like I was already packing my stuff up like weeks prior to that and bringing it over to Jesse's house. Like I had this huge plan. I was just going to go live with her. I woke up that morning. My mom asked me if I wanted to go to breakfast and I said no. And while she went to breakfast and spent her whole day out of the house or whatever, she didn't find out that I moved out until like end of the day.
Oh, well, so kind of just came home and was like...
And I was gone.
Well, she left.
Yeah, I didn't leave a note. I didn't leave anything. I literally just emptied my room.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I left all my furniture and stuff, but I took all my clothes and most of it was already all gone. I literally just walked out of there with the bag. It was already gone. I had to leave what made my room look like a room so that it didn't look like I was doing that. But that's what I did. And then I go over to Jesse's or whatever, and her family's like very just like, come in, you know, like we're a big old family. And it's not like, I was about to say happy family. Like, I mean, they have their issues and stuff like that. But like, you know, it was also the type of, you see it on TV, but this is real life for them. Like you would see people walk into people's houses. Have you ever noticed that on like TV shows where they're like close with people, but they just walk in. It's not normal or whatever.
Yeah.
That's them. Like literally. Like there was random people that I knew from high school were my friends, but they were family friends of them. And they all call mom. I call Jesse's mom still. Like she doesn't really like being called Joanne by people younger than her. She wants to be called mom.
Right.
And so, you know, that also bothered my mom. Like it just struck a nerve with her. But she was my mom away from home. Like that's she was. That she was there for me the same way. We were able to speak. And she's very like close with her kid, like the kids that she is close with. She's very like communicative, and she wants you to be able to come to her about anything.
Jessica's mom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I was able to be open with her as opposed to my mom. And so that's what I experienced as an older teenager was her. And, people would come in and knock on the door and be like, hey mom, or what, like not even knock. Let me not even say knock. Like literally just open up the door and be like, hey mom, you here? Or whatever. Like their door was always unlocked. You could just come in and say, hey. And they were people that I, knew most of my life or whatever, but they're their family friends. And she would treat them like her sons or her daughters or whatever. And she just had this big old family or whatever. And, so that's kind of how that was at her house. And then me and her moved into our old apartment, and we did not know what we were doing, like at all. And then shortly after that, we ended up having Spencer. And I'm kind of jumping because, I don't want to go into every single detail, but I was just kind of trying to paint a picture of how it was in the beginning. But so then we had Spencer, and we're now at 2 years in our relationship. And then we had Spencer, we got married, and this is in 2014. We literally got married. We were one of the first people in the state of South Carolina to get married.
Oh.
Yeah. It was actually kind of cool and exciting. And like,
so y'all got y'all's first apartment out of Georgia?
No.
Or did y'all get your first apartment?
We went to go get our license in the state of South Carolina so we lived in Georgia.
Gotcha.
But we went to South Carolina to get our license because of the fact that it was not legalized in Georgia yet. It happened 2 months later. I think it was 2 months later. Thank you, Obama. But but that's how that, happened or whatever. And then we went on my dad's land and we said our vows and stuff like that. I called my mom and asked her if she wanted to go. She said no. We later on, a year later, had a ceremony, like a legit ceremony where we had friends and family come and watch us re-say our vows and stuff like that, like renew them. My mom did come to that. And, there was some stuff in between all that was kind of like hurtful and hard to deal with. And even Jessie dealt with that. Like, some of her family members are extremely Christian, and, they've said some things or whatever that has affected her. And I'm not going to like point fingers because I understand. I actually understand. Apart from, my life, I understand where people come from. Like it's how you were raised. It's what you see is right and wrong. And I just, me personally and spiritually, I love God. And I feel like he's done a lot in my life. I feel like we would not be so happy and doing this co-parenting thing the way that we are and trying to be healthy for our kids if God was not in my life, because he's changed a lot about me.
Right. Yeah.
And he's been there for me. And I know that, you're different than I am, but like, that's me as a person. And I don't feel like my God is against something like that. There is no way that you can forgive somebody that murders people or rapes people. And then you can, or abortion, forgiving these people, but you're mad at us for being married to the same sex.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
That's not right. I can't rewrite the Bible. I'm not going to sit here and go into all that. I'm not going to at all. I'm just trying to say, like, for me specifically, my God that loves me and has taken care of my family and helped me grow in my life and stuff like that, that's not what I feel. So apart from that, we get remarried. What happened? So we get not remarried, but we renewed our.
No, y'all had, yeah. So you did your vows or whatever.
Yes, and Quinn was not born yet. Spencer was only 1, and during this time, I was actually having an affair, and I'm not gonna like go into who or anything like that, but it was somebody that was huge in Jesse's life. And it affected Jesse's entire family when it came out and stuff. And I kind of skipped a note, but this was before she knew. So like I was having an affair, and in the beginning of it, I actually was okay with it and I liked it, the attention, and I wanted it and stuff like that. But then it became abusive. It became harmful to me. And it was like if I kept it in, the secret, it protected everybody else. I knew it wasn't really just about me. Like, oh, like if this comes out, it's going to hurt me. No, it's going to hurt the entire family.
Right. So with you saying like you had like the affair or whatever, so obviously like you and Jesse weren't
okay. No.
Yeah, y'all weren't in like an okay situation. Like
no.
y'all had y'all's own issues basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. We barely communicated at all. Like I used to literally like to be mean, but it was true. I used to call her a mute. She would be so silent. I remember before we even had Spencer, I would do crazy, silly things like get dressed up cute and be like, hey, and she'd come home and go straight to the room, shower, and go to sleep. Or I would bust my ass like cleaning the house. And because I didn't want to hear her, oh my gosh, if it smells even slightly in the house, like, and I don't mean like my house stinks or anything, but like if there's a dirty towel, she can smell it. Her nose is like, thank God she got COVID, because that knocked her down a notch on her nose. Like she's like a hound dog. And she would just go in on me about the smallest things or whatever. And I'm like, okay, hi to you too. I cleaned, or I got your favorite candy or whatever. And I would just go cry. And my sister-in-law was living with us at the time, and it's her sister. And she was 15 when she moved in with us, and we were, watching over her. She didn't want to live in Florida. That's where her mom was living at the time. And she wanted to live with us and go to school and stuff like that. And me and her were like best friends, and I would go run to her and I would tell her, and she knew, like she saw it too. Like she would just be like, man, like why is she, being so mean or whatever. And that was before I did anything, like period. She was not able to communicate with me. And because she wasn't able to communicate with me, her actual like reasons for being that way to me, I didn't find out until she was able to communicate. She told me later, like, I don't even know, like, I don't even want to say a year. I mean, like 2 years, 3 years later, that it was because I was being a child. I did just stay at home. I was not trying to seek out a job that would pay enough. I was working at Cookout.
Yeah.
How was that going to pay enough? Mm-hmm. She was an assistant manager at a gas station. We weren't making enough money. Making $500 paychecks every 2 weeks was a big deal for us.
Yeah.
Like that's nothing. And then, how are you supposed to grow that way? How are you supposed to get bigger things and do what you want? And then I was a want kind of person, and she didn't speak up and tell me that. Like, you got to tell me about myself. You got to knock me down and tell me like but you didn't say that. So because you were quiet, how am I supposed to know? So long story short on that building up for a long period of time, and even during my pregnancy, being neglectful and things like that happening or whatever, then I got angry at her because I was really trying, and she was just not speaking up about how she actually felt about me and things I was doing. And then it made me feel like she didn't love me, made me feel like she didn't care about my feelings because she wasn't speaking back when I would speak, because I have no problem speaking on how I feel. And then when I'm sitting there just saying and saying and saying, and she's just like, yeah, hello, like, where are you? Like, you got to speak back to me.
Yeah.
And
to get anywhere.
Yeah. And she didn't want to hang out with me. She didn't want to do things with me. It would be mainly me and her sister going and doing things, or me and her family going and doing things, and she wouldn't want to go, or she'd be at work, but that is one thing I can definitely, like, I don't want to just keep on going in on her, because this is not just, I'm going to get to my part too, but with her, she always was 100% responsible when it came to money. Okay, hold on.
I was about to say, hold on now.
No, not money, working. She's impulsive when it comes to money. She's, which is, that's fine. Like, we can get into that in a whole nother episode of impulsiveness, like different things, or just, whatever. But she is very impulsive when it comes. She's ready to go on a trip at any second. She's got her bags packed already, I promise you. And she knows exactly where she wants to go.
I'm sure. And
you're going to get lost.
You're probably not
doing
even
it.
getting a bag.
You're not.
She'll literally put her shoes on and go.
Yeah. And then I'm different. Like when we go on trips, I'm the one that's making sure we have everything. Everything's got to be planned out. Because I mean, it's a shit show if you don't. Like, why did you want to live your life like that? No, like everything needs to be planned. And she's not like that. So when it comes to money, no, she's not really like that. And that was actually one of our problems is she wanted to do the fun things. And then when it came down to the bills, she wouldn't be so like honest with me about, what was actually going on. Like she'd be like, yeah, I paid the water bill. And we come home and it's not, or the rent. And we know we just blew our rent in New York. And we were both, we were young. That's another thing is like whether any of this stuff had happened or not, like we got married really young and did everything we did really young. We thought we were just so in love and we rushed everything. And I feel like that happens to a lot of people and you just kind of get lost in yourself. You haven't found yourself yet. Like you don't even really know who you are, or what you want to be when you grow up. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. And I'm 27 almost. And like, I'm becoming a real estate agent. I'm, taking the test to do that. But like, I don't know what I want to be. And just basically we got lost in each other and the affair really hit her. Like, and that was really where it went completely downhill. And we already can't communicate. So how am I ever supposed to open up about that? And like I said, this person was a huge part of our family. So how do you say that?
Yeah.
In general. And then when I didn't want to do it anymore, this person, and we're going to get into this in a whole nother episode. We're going to talk about trauma and abuse and stuff like that. But and it's a he, that was another thing. Like I couldn't open up and tell her. I didn't really feel like I was, I didn't really know that about myself either. Like I didn't know, like I mainly wanted to be with like a guy. Like I didn't know, like I couldn't be in a committed relationship.
That was just part of you just trying to find yourself also.
Yeah, like I was 17 when I got with her. So like now I'm 19 and I'm having a kid, and then this affair started after I had a kid. I had really bad postpartum. That was a whole nother thing. Then I couldn't communicate.
Yeah.
And then because she's not communicating, I'm getting a shut-in. I'm becoming a shut-in. And when you'd ask me questions, I didn't know how to really respond and stuff like that. And it just became that way. And we both didn't know how to talk to each other. And so that it just got really bad. And then like he became really abusive when I didn't want to do it anymore. And then I really couldn't speak about it. And I felt like I was protecting everybody. I felt like I was holding it in to just, keep myself safe. And then it ended up all coming out. It blew up. And we tried to keep it together, like our family.
And at this time, she has Quinn or she doesn't have Quinn?
She was pregnant with Quinn when she found out.
Okay.
And that was really hard. Like she found out when she was 14 weeks pregnant with Quinn. And oh my God, I was scared. Like,
yeah, that's
yeah. And
scary.
Telling her was really hard and stuff like that. And then it made it even harder because me and her couldn't move on from our own thing because he was so like attached to me and and controlling of me and stuff like that he was coming for us. Like we were trying to block and shut out and do whatever we could. And like she's even lost jobs over this man because like he was, harassing her at her job. He was harassing me at mine.
Didn't y'all say at one point y'all had to get a
we did get a restraining order.
Yeah, restraining order.
We had to. Like we tried to just threaten it. We tried to just block and stay away. It was not working. Nothing was working. And I became toxic too because that was all I could think about. And I was in fear all the time. Like literally. And just even hearing my like freak out and, get anxious and stuff like that. And I already have anxiety in general. And it was, it just made me, it made me go into like a really deep depression and I'd be anxious all the time. I felt like we couldn't like live our lives. I feel like I'm rushing because, we're trying to fit, let me put a little timeline on this. And I'm trying to fit 9 years into this little podcast and it's really hard. Just basically, it got really crazy and she wasn't able to move on from it because, one, he wouldn't let her. And then even when we did finally reach that point of where we got a restraining order and it got quiet, we really tried. Like, we were going to church and, you know, we were trying to do healthy things with our kids, and we were just really actively trying to make it work. And, you know, she just, it's still the communication thing. You know, it's really hard for her to communicate. And I feel like she's gotten a lot better in your relationship with you guys, because even when we split up, she was not able to communicate very well with me.
Yeah, I'm the one that's awful with communication, and she's like all for it.
Yeah, and
So
I think
it's like complete opposite.
She realizes like what it did to her in her marriage with me. And I also, because of everything that like I did or whatever, and it was so huge to her, I became a trigger for her. And just little things or whatever, like she'd blow up on me or whatever. And she also like is really bad about holding it in and then finally blowing up. And that's another thing she struggled with. And then when we had Quinn and stuff like that, it was a whole lot going on. And we decided to split up when Quinn was 2 and Spencer was 4. And we still were like living together even. And then that was even hard. Like, 'cause we would, like we said in the last episode, we would go still hang out and be friends but just not act married. And we kind of did that even being married. We didn't really act married. We would go out in public, and because we were gay, we were super like just cautious of how people felt or whatever, unless we were around Jesse's family. Like, they're fine. Right. Or whatever. But even then, we're not like all PDA and all crazy about it. We were literally like roommates. It was not a relationship.
Yeah, both of you say that.
It wasn't at all. Yeah, like, it never was. Maybe our first year, we had a lot of fun. And then we're talking like almost a decade after that of not having fun, but as friends. Yeah, right. You know, and just not really having like any sort of relationship connection, and then expecting that just to happen out of one another. You know, there was just higher expectations that just weren't going to be met because we didn't feel that way about each other. And it was, I don't know, it was hard. So when we decided to split up, you know, we still stayed together, and then we had to, you know, just being in like different rooms, and like, you know, that even felt a certain way. You know, even the kids were kind of like, what the heck, you know, and we're still living together. And then there was more like tension and fighting. And luckily they were too young, like I said in the last episode as well, to even remember. And then once we were able to like split up in different houses, it got a little hectic then even. You know, I was talking to my boyfriend now when she was still living with me. I met him literally a month before she actually like initially moved out. And when she did move out, it was really hard for her. Like, she knew that he was at my house. She knew that we were being like a couple, and she was just, you know, that's another thing. Like, you have to focus on just your kids. Like, we are not together anymore. Like, it was like hard for her to like let go of that initial, this is how it is now. And then she started dating, and things started to get better. Like, she was talking to a couple of other little girls or whatever before you. And I could feel it lifting off of her and realizing she can do this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she had any sort of feelings for me when she was acting like that. I think it was just,
there's just a long time of also being with someone.
Yeah, I think you just said
9 years.
Realization of it. And to me, I had already came to that. Like, I was, you know, she was unhappy too, but I was unhappy in a sense of like, I already know this isn't going to be how it is, or whatever. And I would cry, and she would cry about the same exact things of like, holidays are going to be weird. Things are going to be weird. What if one kid wants to live with you one day and whatever? And then, you know, we came to an agreement. Like, I don't know if we've ever stated this, but like, our agreement is I get the kids 1 week and she gets the kids 1 week. And then any time in between that, if we want to stop by or see each other, vice versa, we just make it work. Like, it does not have to be divided with us. And we love our system, and we respect our system, and we have boundaries with each other that we've created on our own. And, you know, it gradually got better. It just, you know, you have to be open-minded and communicate, you know, openly. And, you're still a team when you break up. You still are supposed to be a team if you have kids. Like, let me say that. That's the whole point of this, is if you're co-parenting, you still have to be a team. Your kids need to see you working together for them. And that's all we really ever wanted. And once she stopped putting my relationship in her, like, I hate even saying this, but like, she wasn't really like, how do you even like word that? I've seen like, it's not your business really, like, anymore. None of what I'm doing in my relationship is your business, as long as it's not affecting your kids. And that was like a big thing for her, is she couldn't, like, she's also a very nosy person.
I was going to add that, but I was like, I don't know. But yeah, she's very a nosy person.
She just needs to know everything. Yeah. And that's another thing too, is she was trying to be my friend and act like she was being my friend by finding out these answers. And I think in her mind, she really just wanted to be cool about it. And so that's even how it even came out about me talking to him, is she saw my phone blowing up and me smiling. And she's like, who are you talking to? And she's just like, you can tell me anything. Da da da. And
I mean, I could see it like in her head, just really wanting to know.
Yeah.
But also that at that time, that probably wasn't a good, I don't think it was like, I guess basically nice ways to say it wasn't any of her business at the time, you know?
Yeah.
Probably wasn't a good thing.
And that's the whole reason I was even not saying anything, because I didn't even know, I mean, it wasn't anything at the time. Yeah. Me and Patrick were 5 days in before she found out. 5 days in of talking. We were not boyfriend and girlfriend yet. Like, we have not established that.
Yeah.
And it just, I mean, that did kind of move fast. So let me just say, like, it was maybe like a week later after that. But we were just talking.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to say anything, because what if it wasn't anything at all? It didn't matter. And in my mind also, she was, I think, trying to protect herself. She still won't admit this to this day, but she was telling me about this girl named Emma. I thought she was already with somebody. And she's like, oh, no, we broke up. The second she found out about Patrick, they broke up. Oh, my God. But I think she was just doing that as a protective, like, thing for herself to make her feel better. And, you know, we all do stupid things like that or whatever to make ourselves feel better. I mean, I'm not saying exactly that, but, you know, there's comforting mechanisms that we all do.
Yeah, for sure.
And, you know, I'm going to come to an end on this because I have to. Jerilyn needs to tell her part, and I'm sorry, but, like, it is, again,
that's just a long time also.
Yeah.
You're trying to fit, like, 9 years into 30 minutes.
A little, you know, thing. And, you know, I don't know. I feel like, and I used to say too, I feel like we'd be much happier this way. And we are. And I feel like she sees that now, and I'm glad. And she said things when you guys, you're going to get into that in a minute, but they had like a little split up moment, but she said things in the middle of that when she missed you. And she was just like, I realize now everything that you used to say. And, you know, and we broke down one time in the car, and we were crying, and we're like, I'm sorry I did what I did to you. And she was just like, I'm about to cry again, but like, and then she was just like, I'm just so mad at you. Like, why did you do that or whatever? And she's like, it's made me not trust people, and it's made me this way or whatever. And I feel like from that point on, like we grew in that car that day, and we realized we have an understanding with each other. Now we can go into Jerilyn and Jesse met, and, you know, me and Patrick are dating at this point, and she's living in her own house. And go on, take the shoe.
Yeah, I would like to add though, I think it's really cool to see how far you guys have come.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome. If more people could do that.
Yeah, I'm very proud of us.
It's not been the most proud moments, but yeah, definitely came a long way.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, so my story on how I met Jessica doesn't start off the best. I had my own issues. When I met Jessica, I was in a very abusive relationship with a guy, and it was awful, absolutely awful. We were living together with his parents at the time. We had just moved out of our own apartment, and I had made a Tinder in the midst of all his craziness, I guess, to look for more of, I don't know,
an actual relationship.
And not even a relationship, I guess, but someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Because he was awful. Like, if there's a human version of a devil, it is him.
I used to say that about the person that I cheated on.
Yeah, it's true. I'm so serious. And I guess I was looking for a way out, if you want me to be completely honest. I was looking for a way out, and I didn't know how to get out. you've heard me talk in past episodes about how me and my family aren't close at all. I mean, speaking of now, we're going on a year and I haven't heard from any of them. That's kind of rough. So being in an abusive relationship.
Yeah, and being pregnant.
Yeah, I've not heard one single thing from them in a year.
Yeah.
So, anyways, I made a Tinder or whatever, and I've always been into females. That's nothing new. And I was on there, and I was, of course, swiping right or whatever, and Jessica popped up. So I swiped right.
Tell us what you said to her.
That's embarrassing. So, it's a match or whatever. And I'm so awkward. If you know me, I'm a very awkward person. So I sent 2 heart eye emojis. Literally 2 heart eye emojis. And then it started from there. We started talking, and I was not very truthful with her at all in the beginning. To her, I was single. I was living with roommates. And that's basically what she knew. She had no idea that I was in a relationship or anything. So she lived in Georgia at the time, and
she also didn't tell you that her and I were still married.
Oh, that is very true.
But separated.
She did not tell me that she was still married, because at that time she was not divorced. So she lived in Georgia at the time. I lived in Charleston. This is where I lived at the time, and I want to say like a week later, we made plans for her to meet me. Mm-hmm. I want to say it was hell, maybe it was even sooner. Maybe I want to say it was sooner, but we'll go with a week. And she drove to Charleston, and after I got off of work one day, we met, we hung out, and literally, so I was with someone at the time. Obviously, we had to keep this very secretive or whatever. So we met in Tanger, and we literally walked around Tanger, and that's all we did. And then not long after that, I was like, I called her one night, and I was like freaking out because the guy that I was at the time was he was drunk, like a alcoholic to no end.
Yeah.
And he had literally beat the shit out of me that night. And I called Jessica, and I was like, listen, I'm going through some shit with my roommates. And at the time, this was still my roommates.
Basically, I'm getting my floors redone.
Yeah. I'm going to come to Georgia or whatever. So I came to Georgia. And when I got here, as bad as it is, my excuse was that I was getting my floors redone, which you've heard in the first episode. And I needed somewhere to stay for a week. And I literally came to Georgia with my clothes. That's all I had was my clothes. And I didn't tell him that I was leaving. I kind of just left. So that was definitely a whole situation. And once he found out where I was and who I was with, he obviously started to try to mess with me in ways that were not so good. So that happened, and I eventually, I guess, kind of just moved in with her at this point. As fast as that is, that's how it happened.
Yeah.
Like, I knew that I couldn't come back. But at the time, she still had no idea of any of this, and I still couldn't find a way to tell her. Like, I couldn't just sit her down. I mean, obviously I could have, because she is a very understanding person.
But you didn't know that.
But I had no idea.
Yeah.
And she had kids that I now met and I was around, and I didn't know how to be woman enough to basically sit her down and be like, hey, listen, I'm trying to run from an abusive relationship, whatever. And I honestly didn't even intend to, when we first met, to catch feelings like I did for her either.
Mm-hmm.
At all. And that kind of just happened. So, I was 2 months into it.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. So I moved to Georgia. My floors were getting redone, whatever. And
they were not getting redone.
Well, if they're getting redone, they're still getting redone. But
you've been here for a while. What you doing?
Yeah, right. So I had been here 2 months. And honestly, I was having a really, really hard time. Mentally, I was going through it because, one, I wasn't being honest with this, honestly, the most genuine person that I have ever, like, met. And I was hiding from someone, obviously. And at the time of all of this, I had a past ex from years before message me, and he wanted me to hang out. I guess hang out.
Yeah, it was just like an out of the blue situation.
And I, stupid enough, I went. He came to Georgia, and I ended up back in Charleston. And I don't know how to put this. I kind of just left Jessica. Yeah. I gave her no reasoning. I told her that I was going to help my aunt do something. Yeah. And I literally left, and I didn't come back. So that happened, and I ended up, I actually never broke up with her. So I guess you could say I cheated on her.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And then I would say about a week into me being back in Charleston with this other person, me and Jessica actually got back in contact. I don't think we ever stopped talking. I mean, there was like here and there moments where we didn't talk, but I never lost communication with Jessica ever.
Yeah, I feel like y'all both, I remember this situation because she was kind of open. I was like her only person that she was actually open with it about, even though I know that I don't know if you know that or feel.
No, she said that, or that like the whole entire time, like you were someone that she went to. Yeah,
and I think because I was the only one that didn't like shit on her for still talking to you. And
yeah, a lot of people didn't agree with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I got like everybody else's, worry of it or whatever, because they know how Jesse's just so like forgiving, and she might let you back in and you might do it again kind of thing.
Right.
But I've also been the cheater in the situation, and I also am a little bit more open-minded when it comes to anybody's negative situations. I'm not really judgmental, and I feel like she was just hurting and I needed to be there for her. And also it was affecting my kids. Yeah. Because of how bad she was feeling.
I didn't realize how much it affected her until after everything.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure where I left off.
Well, you were going through it, and that's what you were even like going to go into is, you found out things about yourself that you didn't.
Oh yeah. So I'm living in Charleston at the time. At this point, Jessica knows that, I lied basically about everything of how we even like started in the relationship from like the whole Tinder thing. So she knew that I lied. She finally found out that I was in a relationship at the time. So fast forward, I'm back in Charleston, kind of just bouncing around at this point because I didn't know who I was.
That's what happens when you're lost.
Yeah, I was really lost. And I finally admitted, I was like, listen, I need help. Not to Jessica, just to myself. Like, I need help. Like, I need to go talk to someone. Like, I'm not okay. So I got into therapy. I knew that I had anxiety and depression really bad, but I also found out that I was bipolar. So that's that. Then that's not fun. I mean, you know that.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So yeah, I found out that, and then one day Jessica and I just started really talking, and we hung out again, and it kind of went from there. And what I don't want to add this. Jessica actually moved to Charleston. She got transferred.
Yeah. No, she was chasing you. She don't like to claim that, but she was definitely chasing you.
I mean, if we're going to be honest, yeah. So I at the time I was living in Charleston. Jessica was working with a company that is pretty popular. Yeah. I mean, like in transfer wise, like you can transfer pretty much anywhere because they are everywhere. So she transferred to Charleston. So I'm living in Charleston. She's living in Charleston, and we were seeing each other.
Yeah.
Not like seeing each other relationship wise, but we were talking to each other. She was coming to see me. I was going to see her type thing. And it kind of went from there.
Yeah.
Like we
You guys got back together, is what you mean?
Yeah, so we got back together, and we definitely had our issues in working past, like, the whole cheating part, because, I mean, obviously she's already went through that before.
Yeah.
I just put it through
it's a
her
hard,
again.
like, it's breaking trust, and trust is really hard to get back, and, you know, you have to rebuild that and stay focused or whatever, and, you know, she also, you know, she's hard at dwelling on past situations, but it's also, you gotta have to be patient. You can't expect them to just get over it, kind of situation.
And we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie, at first, like, I was like, we're never gonna get anywhere. Like, there's no trust between us. Like, we have no trust.
It feels discouraging, especially when you're trying to actually be truthful and honest, and then someone tell you that you're not being truthful and honest. It kind of feels like, well, what's the point of me doing this? Like, I'm never going to get anywhere with you. You feel trapped in that situation. You feel trapped in your past and stuff like that. And I completely understand. I've put, you know, people in that position, and I've been put in that position by Jessica or whatever, myself, or, you know, with other situations, I've put somebody else in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, it was really rough. So when we got back together, of course, she was living in Charleston. We decided that we were going to, like, make this work or whatever. And she had a really hard time letting what happened go. And obviously, I mean, I'm going to give it to her. It took her a little bit, but she let it go. I probably wouldn't be able to let that go. I'd probably hold that against you, to be honest. But she let it go. And then, I don't know, it wasn't 4 to 5 months. It was like, when did we move back? December?
Yeah, it was only a month later.
Oh, you're right. We got back together in November. December we moved back, and we got our own place here.
Yeah, and you guys have been here ever since.
Yeah, and we've been back in Georgia ever since. And
then since then you guys have
gotten married. Yes, so if you've heard in the past episode, I'm expecting. Yeah. We decided to add a little human. Mm-hmm. Another little girl. And bless. And then we're married now. It's definitely completely different than what it was. Mm-hmm. But we kind of, at the beginning, pulled the whole U-Haul type relationship, and that's where we are.
Yeah, even y'all getting back together, you did it again.
Yeah, we did.
Round 2.
But this time, though, we did take it. We did take the direction a lot differently.
Yeah.
I was in therapy. I'm obviously pregnant now, and I'm not on medication like I was, but I've always obviously, like, helping myself, and we also went to therapy together. Mm-hmm. Me and Jessica. So, I mean, we did what we needed to do to, like, work on ourselves in that aspect. But yeah, so that's where we are.
That's good. No, I mean, I think that this is definitely a way healthier situation than what her and I were in, for sure. And I mean, and healthy in general, not even in comparison. I just mean, like, she's definitely a different person. She's more, like, open in communication, and I think that she's way happier in this scenario. And I think that you're a really good, like, stepmom to my kids, and, you know, I'm happy with how everything has played out.
Yeah, I'm happy the way it turned out. I still regret the beginning of it very much so. But as far as everything now, I'm living my best life.
Yeah. I feel like you guys are doing a really good job. And I feel like we all are.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, and just being healthier and happier or whatever, you know, you're going to drive in life. Like, or thrive, not strive.
Yeah.
But
as far as anything else, though, I would like to add, you're going to have to, like, add more time to this, but
that's fine.
As far as being in an abusive relationship, anything like that, there is ways out. You don't have to lie. I'm not proud of that. But
it makes you feel like that. Abusive like relationships can go in all different directions. Like you could feel scared to say anything.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You could feel ashamed, like you're not strong enough.
Especially with not having family. I think that's my biggest thing.
Yeah.
And that was my biggest thing in the beginning.
Yeah, feeling alone.
I was very alone.
It could be all of the above of what I just listed. It
Yeah.
could be everything. Like
I found Jessica and it was like everything I wanted in a person.
But you felt like you
But
couldn't
I couldn't.
have it.
Yeah, there was no way. I wasn't being truthful with myself or her. Mm-hmm. So how could I want all of this and still be lying?
Yeah, and I remember like she used to say like she would get upset because you would say stuff like, I'm not deserving of it. You would feel, but you've also been told that you weren't deserving of something like that.
Yeah.
And so you're believing it. You've been made to believe that.
You believe that you're not like human at that point.
Yeah.
Like you're literally just there.
And you don't want to be there anymore.
Yeah,
and I've definitely been there.
Yeah. It's definitely a rough situation.
Like I've been abused in different scenarios other than just that person, but that one was a huge deal to me just because he made me feel like if I wasn't quiet, I was going to ruin everybody's life. And then there was times where both of us, like he would threaten in a sense of, I'm going to go tell them so that we could blow up everybody's life. And I'm going to tell them so I could get out of this situation. And when it finally came out, I mean, yeah, it did blow up everything. But it also like the fact that I'm able to talk about everything I had to like hide or whatever, it makes me feel a lot better. And I know he feels a lot better that it's out too. Like he's still kind of like abusive or whatever to his children and stuff like that and to, situations. And I don't really know the whole scenario anymore. But I'm saying like, even on his end of it coming out, like it's better for us all, like all of us. And now that we're all, have grown from that situation or whatever, I don't really know where I was going with that. Just basically we've all grown from it all. And the fact that it's able to come out, and it's hard to be honest when you're stuck and feeling trapped in an abusive scenario. But
I think the fact that I can look back at my situation and we laugh at it
just tells you that you've grown.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Because if you would have talked to me 2 years ago.
No, same. Like me and Jesse could even make jokes about my cheating situation with, that. And the fact that she's able to do that or whatever, just it means a lot to both of us.
Oh, yeah.
That we've gotten to that point. But I mean, even if you're not in a situation where it's like it's cheating, there's abusive situations that you could be in, and you just, there is like a light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. You have to talk to somebody. You have to be honest with somebody in your life, and have an accountability partner even, and get you out. Go find help.
Definitely do the help part.
Yeah.
You have to take the first step.
Yeah, because there's a better you outside of whoever is tearing you down and making you feel like you're not strong enough to get out.
For sure.
All right, so we're going to wrap this up here.
This episode was a little longer than our usual ones would be, but I think it was
very much needed.
Yeah, just a little backstory on all of us.
Yeah, get to know our situation and, why we split up and why we got together and became all blended and stuff.
Sure, but if you've stuck around this long, I hope that we can get some feedback just from past episodes and this one.
Yeah, definitely. We love to hear it. All right. Well, we will talk to you guys next time. Bye.